gonna pick up that book and pick up some souvenirs for my daughters and go meet Guido. It's about 8 in the morning right now. All right, 8:30 in the morning. Behind me, this is Dam Square, I think. I just got off at Dam Stop, and I'm making an inference here that this is Dam Square. Things are starting to open, but look at that. Monument, Dam. I'm gonna have to ask Guido all about this stuff. Or I could Google it or get a guidebook or something. We're winging it. Europe. I'm going to these shops that I found yesterday, and I'm staying at a hotel, and the hotel, well, one of the staff behind the counter was answering a question. I showed her on the map, how do you get to this certain area where I'm going, and she drew, well, this is a roundabout way of saying that she directed me through the red light district. And I thought, that's kind of weird. And I realized on the train that, while that sort of, that, I don't know, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that, that this is a surprisingly family-friendly city, and I think it's because they contain a lot of that element to the red light district. And that being the case, if you are a parent here with young children walking around, you would not have to at all worry about stumbling upon some unsavory establishment, weird advertisements. I'm not a Puritan, but obviously there are some storefronts and even just shops and areas in all cities that you might have to answer questions with a 2- and a 5-year-old that you might not want to answer. And that being the case, as long as you know where that area is here, you can kind of avoid it. And everything is, super picturesque and family friendly. And you know exactly where that element is, and you can steer clear. So, surprisingly family-friendly. I mean, this is not a seedy city. That is just one area that things are confined to, that criticism could be made. And in that sense, it makes it, kind of a conservative city in a way, being vigilant about regulating and isolating that trade to one spot, right? One spot only. All right, it's raining here, but it's not too bad. I would advise comfortable shoes if you come here, because you're going to be walking a lot on these awesome cobblestones. I've got hiking boots. They were killing my feet yesterday, but I think I've broken them in, or they've broken my feet in, and they feel awesome today. And I stepped in a couple puddles, so it's great to have a waterproof, piece of footwear up to my ankle. So, yeah, I guess right behind me, Dam Square, and then I'm going, actually, I think I'm going to walk on the outside of the red light district. She directed me through it, but I'm actually, I think, going to go under it. And, yeah, I hope I can find these shops. We'll see. Hey, a rainy Monday morning is not a bad time to walk through the city. It's not many people on the street. I think all the tourists have better sense than to come out on a Monday morning early when it's raining. Typically, I wouldn't be out right now, but thankfully I have some place to be at 11. That's to meet Guido, and so that got me out, and that's cool because I wouldn't get to experience this otherwise. Yeah, very just picturesque and quiet, and boy, I can imagine being a local here. What a great city to live in. Wow. You know, I saw some cool watch shops that we're gonna get into. I guess back in the day, if you weren't a man of means enough to have a watch, one that you could depend on, you probably would have looked up and structured your day via this clock. Look at that. 16, what does that say? 1614? So I'm assuming that this is hundreds of years old. And 100, 200 years ago, you'd look up and say, hey, it's getting on about 8:35, it's gonna be 9 soon. You know, I like time, and if you find time interesting, what exactly the hell is it? And you want to sort of be mindful of it, you really gotta measure it. And that's where the watches come in, and that's why I like watches so much, because they measure something that we don't even understand. We really don't even have our heads around. I mean, is it linear? It appears to be, but you know, certain scientific theories at least indicate, or I don't want to say proof, they possibly could. I'm not sure, I'm not really up on that, but we don't even know what time is. And these little machines are pretty much the best thing that we have to measure it with. And so that's why I love them. Not only the beautiful art, but there's something like magical about them. They can measure something that we can't. We can get an idea of, oh, it feels like it's been an hour or 2 hours, it feels like middle of the day. It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling, and you know, situations could either drag out time, you know, perceptually, or make it fly by. Thanks to these little contraptions, we can measure it and at least gain a little bit of control over it as much as we can. Whatever the hell time is. Right along the street. It's not open yet, but at 9, according to a guy on the street, this shop will be open. This is where I found these little bottles of alcohol, which are very interesting. If you like the houses here, you could be interested in those. Life in a houseboat. That's got to be a kick. It is dam waterway open, it appears. I wonder if these white poles are for loading things onto the boats. See that beautiful bridge down there. Another clock tower. Look at that. You can tell the time from here in 2 places. That clock tower, and then the one right around this corner. Wow, a couple hundred years ago, you would really probably depend on these to tell the time. That is so cool. I wonder how many sort of traditional ways there are to tell time in the city. I mean, there's a clock tower there, and behind me and to the left. I wonder how many. I wonder if like the city is designed in any way to maximize how often you can see the time from any part of the city. I wonder if that went into the design aspects of this city, but that is so cool. I can tell the time right now, and right when I go around the corner. Let's do it. Will I lose track of the time? Well, look, there appears to be another clock tower down there. A more modern one. Let's look. Look at that. Look at that. It's kind of hard to see, but I can tell the time. And then right back here, I'm backing up, by the way. This has to look strange to passers-by. There we go. Alright, so you can see the time here, off to the right down there, and then off to the left down there. This one straight ahead looks like a more modern one. So you've got to be careful with the kind of souvenirs you take back, because oftentimes you will see, especially with young kids, the toys that you give them. They become fixtures in your life. And so aesthetically, if you don't want a certain toy around, you really should avoid it, because you're going to see it a lot. And so you got to think, do I want to see this toy constantly for the next 2 days and even longer? You know, sometimes kids get really infatuated with these toys, and they'll play with them like intensely for a couple days. Sometimes they go away, sometimes they get bored with them, sometimes they don't. But potentially, you know, I've got there's a couple toys that I constantly see. I've seen them for the last several weeks. Thank God that they're toys that I like. They're these German teddy bears, but you know, some annoying toy with annoying like characters or something like that, they could drive a parent nuts. You know, because some of these toys aren't really so aesthetically pleasing. You know, these moving baubles made me think of that. Yeah, let's see. There are a lot of cutesy toys that I wouldn't want to see in there. But these little houses could be different. They're kind of cool, as you'll see. All right, that looks like a restaurant. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I bet that restaurant is fantastic. On location and ambiance alone, if nothing else, I'm sure the food is pretty amazing. It should be. That would be pretty incongruent if the food sucked, but what a building. Wow, look at that. That would be a castle of a home. I wonder if that ever was a home, and if so, who lived there. Man, that is a badass house. That would be like the house of the city. That's like that's like the, if not one of the best houses in the city, probably, if it was ever a house. That is amazing. That is an amazing house. Look at that brick. I mean, cubicle brick houses are pretty fantastic, but rounded, those spires, I don't know if that's what that's called, but that rounded brickwork is just amazing, man. What a cool piece of history and humanity right there. Engineering, domestic aspects. That's probably the height of what you would term shelter, which is very vital to our ability to live long. The bell is tolling. It's 9 o'clock. Shops are opening now. And that's another way you could tell the time. Anywhere in the city, you could just hear that and you'd know it's 9 o'clock. You'd hear the 9 strikes of the bell and you'd know what time it was. You wouldn't even have to see the clock tower. You wouldn't be as dead on as somebody who had a clear view of the clock tower and had an idea up to the minute what the time was, but still that You leave your window open, that's your cue to leave for work or school 200 years ago. Young kid, be told by their mother, when the clock strikes 9, that's when you be at school or leave for school or whatever it was back in the day. That's, if you love clocks and you love watches and you love timekeeping and all that, this is an amazing city. And I think I've just sort of scratched the surface. I haven't even been to shops with watches, but I think there's probably going to be some amazing old timepieces here. Pretty close to Switzerland. Be some really cool Rolexes. We'll see. Alright, so that's where we are. A little arrow. And there's that magnificent house right there. It's got its own place on the map. Okay, so this is a great city to wander around in. And it's really easy to get around because everything's very unique. And so whenever you hit the end of a street, if you click a picture, like I clicked a picture of this canal with all of these shops there. This is where I handled that knife last night, those two scary knives. All right, so
What do you want, a photo or?
no, I think it's recording, right?
Yeah.
This is an evil-looking knife. Actually, she pulled this knife by mistake. This wasn't exactly what I wanted to see, but this is a really, boy, this would land you in some big trouble in Japan walking around with this. This wouldn't be an everyday carry at all. Boy, you get in big trouble if you got caught with trying to explain that. And this is what I wanted to see. Check this out. Boy, that is another wicked-looking blade. Wow, look at that. Again, instant slammer time in Japan if you're caught with something like this. Oh, and this is a weapon for sure. Or like a butchery tool. Thank you. Especially that one with a eagle's beak, whatever type thing on it. Anyway, all right. So I found the shop. Took some walking around, but this is where I went last night, and they have the watch book. All right. So this is the area where I was last night, right down the street. Very windy here. I'm in Amsterdam, and I just came from an awesome bookshop. They had a crate full of watch books, and I found a book that I think is going to be really interesting. It's pretty dense, and I picked it up, and 15 euros is what I picked it up for, and looks like it's going to be well worth that, and the amount of knowledge and information it has. Detailed, dense stuff. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I reserved it because I didn't have the cash in pocket to pay for it, but anyway, I'm going to pick it up tomorrow, and I can't wait to see it. Beautiful buildings here. Man, I'm absolutely into walking around and checking out these awesome buildings, and you can get these really cool toys of these lovely canal houses. They look amazing at night. On the left, or no, on the right, that's the bookshop. Some footage of those. That is so cool. All right, so what numbers are those?
71 and 56.
And I've got 8 more I'm going to pick up later. All right, right here. So they don't make these anymore.
No. They're all hand painted.
Hand painted and alcohol inside.
Yeah.
Genever is how you say it? Genever. And it's Genever.
Yeah.
And it's
Gin.
And it's gin. Dutch gin. Right on. Look at that.
Sorry.
And this is the 80 plus ones are more expensive because they are rare. Meaning the buildings. These are real buildings. They're actually buildings that you can find spread out across the country apparently. So you can buy one, drink it, and find the real house. That's amazing. These are real houses and people are actually still living there. I wonder how they feel about the fact that their houses are...
All of them got one of their... I think they got the original ones.
Oh, they got the original ones?
Original owners got
Wow.
the original ones.
And they're different in some way?
What do you mean?
Like the original ones are different in some way? Meaning...
No, just the first copy ever made.
Wow, okay. Right behind me, straight back on the right, is that bookshop. And it was closed. It's supposed to open at 10, and right now it's about 10:20, and I have to either catch a 10:34 train or a 10:43 train. That would be great to have a bezel to set that with. I would put either the sub or the GMT on the 43 as the later time. But I've just got the Explorer 2 on, and just have to remember it. Good for the old memory capacity training, huh? All right, so let's go. We'll get that book later. See, this is Dam Square now, with people around. This is how it typically looks, or maybe even busier. Again, not early morning, but mid-morning here. 10:20 or so. So many people are around. All right, so right behind me is Central Station, and in front of me is Dam Square, and so I'm walking there behind me to catch a train, and I'm going to meet up with Guido. We'll talk watches, and that'll be pretty cool to meet another YouTuber in the flesh. That'll be the first time. Well, no. I mean, Maynard had some videos up, so I felt like I was meeting a YouTuber, but all right, anyway, to the station. So right behind me, Central Station. Usually people, they'll come to Central Station when they visit Amsterdam, but actually I didn't come here. I went to a station from the airport closer to my hotel. So, yeah, I'm outside of the city. Central Station, and this is, I guess, the main train station, obviously. Right, you can see. All right, I almost missed it. It's 43 past the hour, and I got in here, and I have a 5-day pass for, I guess, trams and intercity stuff. And I swiped out like I could go through, but I couldn't. So I had to, in a panic, buy a ticket with cash. Now you might think, big deal, right? The machines don't take cash here. It's really weird. You have to go to a counter, which is the end of the station. I had to run down there, and I did it though. I love setting the time and having a slightly difficult time getting there and then accomplishing it. Accomplishment is nice. I'm glad I'm not late. That would suck to keep Guido waiting. But anyway, spilled tea on myself running. Nothing but straight tea, though. Just English breakfast.
It's not really normal. I wouldn't know anybody who lives on a houseboat.
That's interesting. I wonder what life on a houseboat is like.
I think it's challenging.
No toilet, huh?
probably there is, but it's like septic toilets and
And can you go-
showers is kind of hard. And I know from one guy who lives on one of these houseboats, his way of showering is just take a dive here in the Zaan.
All right. Hey, that works. That works. I mean, is that fresh water?
This is all fresh water.
Can you
yeah.
drink it?
No, none at all.
Okay.
No.
Interesting. So you
Now, you
have.
can drink the water everywhere from the tap in Holland,
Uh-huh.
but from any public place or
So if you lived on a houseboat, you'd have bottled water, I guess.
yeah, or
Yeah.
a big tank.
All right, and that you pay somebody to fill up, maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
they'll just drop
Like
by
once a
every-
week or once a day or something.
You
That's
see,
cool.
for example, on the left it says Java, which is an Indonesian island of Java.
Okay. Yeah.
So all these boats would come in the 17th century, in the 18th century. They would come from Indonesia,
Uh-huh.
and they would come all the way here and get all these spices and stuff off
Mhm.
the boats. There, for example, there it says Rijstpelerij Hollandia. Rijst is rice.
Yeah.
So that's where the rice was being dropped off for the people in Amsterdam, because Zaandam,
Wow.
this area used to be like the factory for Amsterdam.
So these boats would be international boats, and they would go to
Yeah,
Asia.
these tall
I had no idea.
Dutch
You-
ships with the sails and stuff. These 17th century
like the
ships.
ones like this.
No, much older. You know, like really
Oh.
no engine still. It's like 1700 something, 1600 something.
Wow.
They
So
would-
so even more primitive than what you're looking at right here.
Oh,
with the-
definitely. I'll show you some pictures.
Well, can
yeah.
you imagine taking that to Asia? That would be insane. I guess you could.
But I don't think it would survive the ocean.
Well,
I
it'd
don't
be a
think it's
risk.
I don't think it's seaworthy.
Well, that would be a hell of an experiment. I don't think I'd do it. These clock towers are awesome. So that's mechanical. How old do you think that is?
I'm not sure how old the clock is, but the building, I think, is from 1877 or
Right.
1850.
Yeah, I see those two dates there.
If you go on the right, you see Saigon, so that's
Uh-huh.
that probably also is like something like 18 something.
Wow, and so
That's a
mechanical, I
restaurant
guess.
nowadays. And funny thing, you can see actually the doors opening. So it's not windows; it's actually doors. So they used to just empty their boats immediately through the doors.
Right there with that Saigon. Yes, is it? That's amazing. And so mechanical. I mean, there's like somebody that cranks that thing. That clock.
Yeah,
That would be insane if that's your job. You crank that every day, or
there's clockmakers that still have to maintain.
oh
all those
man, I
clocks.
would love to like go in there and see that.
Working on rice here at this river.
Okay, so 125-year-old rice company, biggest in Amsterdam.
You can see you can see
Biggest
the
in Holland.
bigger company behind the old building, which is in the front.
And the rice would come from Indonesia?
Yeah, anywhere they make rice, they would take the ships here and they would.
Wow, Indonesia and where else? I mean, any other countries?
Probably
India,
Africa,
India?
Indonesia,
Japan?
Africa. Yeah, well, just a big trade with Japan too. Yeah.
Yeah, Nagasaki maybe? That's cool. Wow. 1800s pigeon house.
1880, 1890 or something. Yeah.
Wow, and so do people clean out the pigeon? Do they just leave it for
I
the
think once a year they probably suck it out with some vacuum cleaner.
and so they
or
have
something.
eggs in there?
Oh yeah, it's
Why did
pigeon
they
house.
decide to do that? Was it to take care of the pigeons? Were pigeons valued in any way, or was it
Or
just
maybe
a...
give them a place to be safe from cats. And the park is a little over 100 years old.
Okay.
It's open. It was opened by the Queen in 1906 or 1907.
Mhm.
1910, I'm not really sure when.
And so this is their... What do you call it?
Funny thing is, story about these little snow. We call them sneeuwklokjes, snow clocks.
Yeah?
And these are what we call stinzenplanten. These are plants that are not originally from this area. They've been taken here.
Right,
Also something
non-native species.
No, but they're all over Holland now. But
Uh-huh.
originally they didn't come from here. They came from like castles in Germany, gardens and stuff.
Huh.
And they took them here and they just do it very well. Snow clocks.
They're pretty interesting. And they're
People are always happy when they see these.
Oh,
At the
I see,
beginning
okay.
Of the year they go, oh, snow clocks are back.
snow clocks.
One of the
That's where you get your coffee. And is there always a game going on here?
No, it's on Sundays. Or when there's something to do here in the park, it's normally here. There will be a singer or a concourse or.
And they have concerts in that thing right there, huh?
Yeah, it's a little concert.
It's the Zons. And so Guido was telling me about this giant. It was a
Bronze eagle.
Bronze eagle. Huge.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture. You can put it in the.
All right, right on. And during when the Germans attacked.
Yeah, when the Second World War started, they were afraid that they would take all the metal and the bronze eagle with them, so they dropped the eagle in the Zaan. But they can't find it anymore.
They can't find it, and it's somewhere. I mean, it could be right there, but it's along here somewhere. It's just along the Zaan somewhere, apparently.
It's probably somewhere in the Zaan, in the ground.
Along with shipwrecks and stuff like that.
Along with shipwrecks, all in the mud, like maybe 10 to 30 feet down in the mud.
Oh my gosh.
So finding it would be very hard, but there's definitely some ships here lying down on the ground in the mud.
Wow.
But far enough down that the current ships won't have any problems with it.
Yeah. I wonder if you could like send little robots down to just check things out.
I think they should.
They should.
I don't know why.
And that's a whole like museum down there.
But I think maybe because of the mud, there's not
That's a
much
whole
to
museum
see.
of stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, can you imagine if the deeper you go, it would just get insane. It would be hundreds of years old.
Oh yeah, this river has been used for maybe close to 500-600 years already with ships.
500 or 600 years of ships going back and forth, man. Just going down into there deep, the stuff that you could find. My God.
Absolutely.
All right, welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm with Guido, and I'm experiencing a Grand Seiko, and this is a Grand Seiko Diver. Here, let me adjust my sweater. All right, so here it is. Beautiful watch. Wow, I mean, it is comfortable, high quality. I mean, I'm not a
Pelagos channel. I'm here.
I am not a watch person that likes quartz at all, but I could totally get behind this quartz. Look at this. Windmill to power your home. Isn't that awesome? Windmills. So windmills from the 1600s. Mechanical things, big and small, on this channel.